Hello everyone, welcome back. An article from a couple of days ago suggested there may be a pretty huge graphical and positive graphical feature inbound for The Division 2. Let's take a look at what this is all about, and also let's talk about why I know The Division 2 is not in trouble despite all of the bad press around Ubisoft right now. Drop a like, subscribe, and let's begin. Okay, so firstly, an article was published on the WCCF Tech website 3 days ago talking about the possibility of ray tracing coming to The Division 2. It says, Ubisoft recently posted new job positions for lighting artists for the game. They're referring to The Division 2, of course. Nothing special at this point, but the job ads do mention knowledge of ray tracing and RT and pre-render lighting experience. Now, the exact job ad says knowledge of ray tracing is a plus. As the article suggests, this simply could be a general job description mentioning ray tracing, but I do think this is something that devs could be working on for Year 5. It could also be a disguise for ray tracing on a potential Division 3 game. That's a long shot, of course, but as you guys know, I do love to speculate, and there is a lot of speculation around the Division 3 being in development at the moment, although I've personally not heard anything about the Division 3 myself. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see ray tracing in the Division 2. Of course, this will only really affect PC players. I don't believe you can get ray tracing for Xbox Series X or PS5, but I could be wrong about that. Division 2 is stunning to look at. It's one of probably the best looking games I've ever played, and I can only imagine how much ray tracing might improve it even more, which is scary to think about. I can't even imagine what the Division 3 would look like on, next gen consoles and kind of this PC specs that we have right now. It would be unreal. Now, moving on, and I was going to make a separate video on this, but didn't want to do two videos in one day, so I will include that in this video. Following some of my recent... Moving on, and I was going to make a separate video on this, but didn't want to do two videos in one day, so I'm going to include it here. Following some of my recent videos, I've seen a ton of comments saying how The Division 2 was being pulled by Ubisoft, and that explains why we're only getting, one phase of the PTS. This has obviously been sparked by the Ubisoft report stating how Ubisoft were cancelling 4 unannounced projects, or I think it might have been 3 unannounced projects, on top of 3 or 4 that they'd already cancelled, so it's like 7 in total. And then they're also cutting back on costs due to much lower than expected revenue for last year, I believe it was. Now, there is plenty of uncertainty within this community at the moment, and anything that's kind of out of the ordinary right now, without some kind of explanation from Massive or Ubisoft, that's just feeding in to that uncertainty. So, the latest PTS stuff, of course, has really fed into that narrative. I'm here to tell you that The Division 2 has not been cut in any way, shape or form. I know for absolute certain we are getting a Year 5. In fact, I was watching a Rogue Gold video yesterday, and one of the top comments said they were a playtester for Year 5 content. Now, whilst I wouldn't normally just believe, some random comment on a video, I do know that playtesting for The Division 2 has been or is underway as of right now. And I know that Massive are gearing up for a pretty huge Year 5, with Season 1 really bringing the heat. There is no doubt in my mind that The Division 2 is here to stay, at least for the next year or more. And actually, as I said in the video where I covered the Ubisoft report, I think that Ubisoft have turned their attention to their biggest IPs, one of those being the Division franchise. I actually said it was good news. Obviously, it's not good news that a lot of people have lost their jobs, but if you're just referring to the Division as a franchise, I think the news was generally good. I think, if anything, we can expect more resources to be poured into this franchise over the coming years. I expect Season 11 to do pretty well for Massive in terms of engagement, and I expect Season 1 of Year 5 to do even better and be pretty huge in its scope. And I don't say this stuff lightly. I've always kept my expectations very grounded and encouraged you all to do the same. And I'm asking the same of you here because I'd hate for anyone to be disappointed, because I'd overhype some up. But I do think the Division 2 and the Division franchise has a very bright future. And I do think that Ubisoft have realised they can't just follow trends and expect to be successful. Ubisoft specifically said in their report more focus would be put into their biggest IPs. All of their failed games from Ubisoft have been trend chasers. Even titles that were kind of announced but not announced were trend chasing games, I believe. A lot of their failed games have just simply come too late when those trends have, come to an end almost. I'm expecting significant investment in the Division franchise, in Rainbow Six, and in Assassin's Creed from Ubisoft over the coming years. And I don't really have much more to say than that, really. I just felt I had to reassure you that Massive or Ubisoft are not pulling the plug on the Division. Sure, I can't explain why there is no Phase 2 of the PTS, something Massive have never done before, but I did offer up a suggestion as to why in my last video, a suggestion that makes sense to me. And as of me recording this video, unfortunately, there has been no news or no comments as to why we're not getting a Phase 2 of the PTS. We've just been told that we're not getting one. Now, I do know we're getting a special report soon for Season 11, and that will obviously give us details about what to expect from Season 11, and it's possible that they address it in that video. Now, other people have suggested that there was very little content to actually test with this PTS, and that's why it was only one phase, and that might be true, but I still think 2 phases should be a bare minimum, and as I said, more than anything, it just goes against what we've experienced with the Division 2 before, and feeds into that uncertainty that we're all kind of feeling at the moment. I'm sure in the coming weeks we'll learn more about Season 11, and in the coming months, what's in store for us with Year 5. I am 99.9% sure the Division is here to stay, not just in the short term, but in the long term. That's not me saying that I believe we're going to get a Division 3, because I've not heard anything about that. I'd be surprised if we didn't get a Division 3, to be honest with you, especially because I think Ubisoft and Massive are planning on at least putting content out for the Division 2 for Year 5 and for Year 6, at the very least. So I'd be surprised if we don't get some kind of Division 3 after that point. But I don't know about that at the moment. All I know is that the Division franchise isn't going anywhere. The Division 2 Year 5 is in development. We already knew that anyway, and at least from comments that I've seen on videos, the one that we saw in Rogue Gold's video, there appears to be playtesters as well for... I don't know if it's for Year 5. Well, they said it's for Year 5, so it's probably going to be for Year 5. So we know that that's currently underway, or is at least just finished. So yeah, nothing to worry about, guys. Honestly, you've got nothing to worry about with this franchise. But there you go, that's it. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think about all of this. Are you still concerned about the future of the Division franchise? Or, has this reassured you that actually we are going to be getting a lot more content? Not just for this year with Season 11, but actually we're going to be getting a ton more for Year 5. Until the next one, Epic out.